The Say Something podcast is brought to you by amomentwithmorris.com and blackblueprints.com. That's blackblueprints with a Z.com. I am Jermaine Morris here with the one and only Mr. Barry Accius.
Yes, sir.
We are here bringing you the Say Something podcast.
Say something, say something, say something.
Where we get together and talk about everything going on out here in the traffic, everything in this crazy world.
In these streets.
In these dangerous streets that we feel that everybody needs to say something about.
Yeah. Say something.
Coming at you with episode 24.
Man, we getting up there. 24. Continue to like, listen, and share this world, baby.
That's right. Hitting you with that Kobe, that Black Mamba joint, that Marshawn Lynch, that beast mode. But before we get anything too deep in the show, got to start off with something. Give me a little beat. Give me a little beat, Barry. There we go. Same time. Come on. There we go. Gotta feel it. Gotta feel it.
Okay.
Gotta feel it. Gotta feel it.
Happy
birthday to you.
No, stop.
Happy birthday to you.
There you go.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday, Mr. Barry.
Yeah. I would have rather had Rihanna sing it, but
Hey.
You know, my guy. Another day, another year.
Gotta acknowledge your born day.
I appreciate that. Shouts out to all the people that was giving me texts and sending me messages and sending me love. Everybody was actually surprised it was my birthday.
Yeah, well, didn't think you have any?
Probably because I don't celebrate shit. So I was real low key. I don't make a big deal out of that stuff. You know, I don't. Even though it's an important day, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
born day. But I'm usually out of state, out of town, whatever. I was kind of low key, and I just didn't bring it up.
Okay.
And so people were like, "It's your birthday?" Because I'm always hooping and hollering about something.
So they figured there'd be big banners and parade.
And they probably thought I was going to have a turn up to end all turn ups. But when I'm prepared and when I'm ready to do that, I'll do that. But this year I had just got back from back-to-back graduation, San Diego 1 week, LA the next week. And then you think about all the stuff that we've been doing throughout the community. I was just like, yo, my birthday fell on Memorial Day, dog.
Yeah. Don't worry, we'll have a big party for mine in December because it'll be a big 40.
I'm just saying.
We'll be partying in December.
But I mean, how the heck did my birthday go from not being on Memorial Day to being on Memorial Day?
Last Monday of May.
So that's what Memorial Day is?
Mm-hmm. Recognized on the last Monday of May.
Wow. Learn something new every day.
Yeah. So it's a little sidebar, a little history. The Memorial Day that we celebrate now is the offshoot of, I think it was like Decorations Day, which came after the Civil War for the Union and Confederate soldiers.
Okay.
But was originally birthed by black soldiers.
Of course.
Well, now, for some folks who don't know, in 1865 in South Carolina, after the war, there was, I believe it was 257 soldiers who fought, who didn't die of, bullets, musket hits. They died of exposure and disease. And after the war had been fought and they did their job for the nation, when they passed away, all their bodies were just grouped together and put in one mass grave.
Wow. So
after they had died, just in this big hole, the other black soldiers and citizens came to this place in South Carolina, Charleston, to actually have a memorial for these soldiers because the U.S. government was just like, whatever. So the soldier, the team they fought for and ultimately died for, disregarded. They were treated poorly in life and disrespected in death.
Yeah. But
the basis of that day came from black people who were like, we just ain't letting them go out like that.
And then the cold part, it's now taken and it's been glamorized.
Yeah.
It's now being used. We don't talk about the black soldiers. And if you disrespect this day, many people will be upset because of the whole flag and our country and people fought. But the funny thing about our country is, as many black folks fought for this freedom, they continue to be oppressed, right? And they continued to be looked at as animals, not human. And so it tickles me when you know the backstory on a lot of these holidays. And that's the reason why.
Literally the day they fought and died for this country. Literally that day. It's not like it was something that came down later and, well, generations to come or politics or whatever. The day they died fighting for this nation, they were disregarded and discarded into a hole.
Disrespected.
And what people equate Memorial Day to is the acknowledgement of the unnamed soldier out there in Arlington. They even acknowledge where Decorations Day, where they started in 1868, kind of when white folks started doing it. Then that's when they started paying attention.
Yeah.
They didn't care when we did it for our people, but they I guess realized, hey, that's probably a good idea to acknowledge the fallen soldiers, and then it became a national holiday years later. But I mean that's just kind of how the game goes.
Well, that's just how America rolls.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
America rolls with not giving you all the information, and America rolls on people's backs and the perception that this is for all the people, and we created this out of the kindness of our hearts, but in reality, they had no idea of doing anything for the soldiers that unfortunately protect and go against lies and propaganda. When you think that you're fighting for freedom is a whole bit of something else. Well, now you have a situation when you break down the information about Memorial Day. You really want to celebrate it for the ancestors, but then at the same time, you're like, come on, man. Here we go again. That's why I just don't subscribe to any of this shit. Because I just know all this shit is fuckery at its finest.
Everything is about narrative. It's about perception. And there's a word that's gotten a lot of play. About the last 20, 25 years, it's just called spin. And spin is when you just take something and really you just spin it. At its root, there's something there, like the actual basis of what you're talking about, but that ain't the way it's presented. You could sit there and say, kids will do that stuff. Where did you do? I came home from school. I went home. Now, true, they left school and came home, but they didn't tell you about how they stopped off at the arcade. They went to their buddy's house and how they did that. Dudes, we'll do that all the time. What'd you do? Definitely. I was at work. Yeah, we'll tell you that we went to work, but we didn't say we ran by Tina's house, stopped off at the bar, did this, whatever, before we came home. Yes, like, we just put some spin on that story. If the truth don't fit, omit, and just leave stuff out. And that's where we at as a society now. Spin is so common. And we go as far as we're so accustomed to it that we say stuff like perception is reality.
Yeah.
Like, we are so used to being lied to.
I say that's one of my favorite lines.
Yeah, that we're so used to something being presented in a way that is not truthful that we've adapted it as being reality and something that's honest and coming from a real place.
Yeah.
And we talk about perception. We'll keep it on Memorial Day. A brother who's been staying in the papers, brother Colin.
That brother can't get out.
Brother Colin Kaepernick. He just recently met with the Seattle Seahawks. We'll see how that plays out. Hopefully it works out for him. But it was addressed about him potentially going to the New York Giants, where to be backup for Eli, because Eli's in the second half of his career. It'd be good to have a little backup dude just in case. And the folks over at the New York Football Giants were saying they didn't want to mess with Colin Kaepernick because the perception of him and what that would do to their fan base and what that would do to their brand and their business was not a way they wanted to be perceived. They didn't want to be perceived as an organization that catered to, coddled to, or supported somebody who was disrespectful to the flag, the perception of Colin Kaepernick. And so they're saying that this ain't a good look. We don't want that type of stink on us. It's not good for our fan base. We don't want that in our organization. The perception being that they on the up and up, that they stay above board, that they care about their morals, and that they care about, doing the right thing. The same organization, that's got a kicker on their team.
Or was on their team.
Well, he got an extension April, a couple months ago.
But they cut him finally, though. They didn't keep him.
He got paid in April.
Yeah, he got paid, but I think the backlash was like, no, we got to part ways.
Yeah, so the issue was he made this statement about Colin in January. I guess was to the accord of saying, well, now we don't want nobody like that, and then turn around because they had a player on their team who got caught up in domestic violence, Josh Brown, the kicker, and he was not even just arrested of or accused of, but admitted to
multiple times
to beating his wife on the regular.
Yeah.
The league was made aware of it. The team was made aware of it.
He only got suspended for like a few days.
Yeah, they didn't care until the story got out.
Of course, like it always is.
They were knowledgeable for quite some time. In any event, the same organization who didn't want Colin Kaepernick because they said it's not a good look and they don't want that perception of what they're down for, were completely okay with re-signing. Because after the story came out with Josh Brown, after the incident, he was given as an extension. So they paid him, it was like a 2-year, $4 million contract, something like that, after he had admitted to beating his wife, reportedly. So that's just kind of an example of how people, this perception of what we have going on, about how we like to make stuff look, but it really ain't stuff we really care about.
Now, I just definitely think that, when you think about Colin Kaepernick, there's so many different angles to it. Of course, he's kind of at that stage of his career. He could go left or right, meaning that, yes, he came out stellar. He is a former Super Bowl quarterback, didn't win the Super Bowl, but was so damn close, and he had a lot of upside. Now there's a downward spiral. A lot of it has to do, I believe, about the conditioning. A lot of it has to do, I believe, with that sophomore slump. A lot of it has to do with the changing of the guard, with staff. Most importantly, his head coach that actually put him in the fray, and of course the team altogether. I mean, different pieces change. So that's one part. So that kind of downgraded a guy that almost was going to be the face of the NFL. It was just funny. I was just looking at a magazine cover, and he was right there flat on ESPN, right, on the magazine. Now, you have that in part with the stance that he took, last season with the protests, with first sitting down and then the kneeling. What has given the NFL this almost, because I've heard a lot of different analysts talk about it, sportscasters, radio personalities talk about it, and they all run to the fact, because you can't deny it, that, Colin Kaepernick is not really, honestly, just being blackballed because of the protests.
Yeah.
It's just he's not as good of a quarterback. And we can argue that. But at the same particular time, we all do know if he was still on the up and up, Colin Kaepernick would have a job. No means to argue that. At the same particular time, when you look at what he did, we are honestly right here, right now. What is it? Going on June. And free agency has been open for a long time, right?
Yeah.
He's already said he's willing to now do the right thing. He's made his point. He's ready to move on.
Yeah.
And he's going to stand up for the flag. Where honestly, the society that we live in is more frustrated that a guy was trying to shed light to a situation that is running rampant in our country, racism, police brutality, compared to looking and having a hard stance on sexual assault that's rampant in sports, as well as men abusing women. Like, we live in a society where they will say, we are outraged that he will not stand for flag. And remember, mind you, Colin Kaepernick has not done anything wrong.
Yeah.
There's no legal procedures coming down
no
Kaepernick's
drug bust, no domestic
nothing.
violence, no DUIs, no nothing.
You got that. But in a sense, we still give the second chance and opportunities for those who are sexually assaulting women and those who beat up women. That part is, okay, that part is cool, but this part is not. I'm confused about the whole damn thing.
Yeah, because like I said, we're talking about how stuff is perceived and how stuff is spun, is that so throughout the let's just take the NFL to start with. The NFL has these deals and stuff set up in place linked to the military. Like where they have these things set up to kind of help promote the armed forces through the National Football League. So when you do something, that's why the whole making players stand for the national anthem is relatively new. The old days, they were still in the locker room while the national anthem was going on. And then when the bomb burst in the air and the jets would fly by and the rockets would go off, that's when they would come out of the tunnel and take the field. So for years, they were never even on the field when they did the national anthem. So they kind of hooked some stuff up, some TV deals. That's why, if you notice, that they really make it a point to accentuate the military before their games. They're a private company, private business, do what you want. But the perception is to show that this is something that we are steadfast on and we are linked and sided with our armed forces. However, when it comes to women, like the domestic abuse side of the game, they don't have such a relationship. So recently, in the last 5 years, they've tried to adapt and get more of a female following. That's why you see in all the major sports networks, there's more women involved now, more women at the desk, more women in the game, because they're trying to appeal to the female market to get more viewers. But they're not, no pun intended, in bed with women like that. Like they're just not with their money. So for a player to get caught up on some domestic violence, kind of like if you can keep it quiet, we'll keep it quiet.
Yeah.
I.e. a Ray Rice, i.e. a Josh Brown, i.e. a Ben Roethlisberger. If you can keep it from, we don't make us force our hand.
Yeah.
It's kind of their thing.
Yeah.
Once it gets too far, we got to do something. But if you can clean this up on your own, we're willing to let it slide. So the perception that the league is these people who really genuinely care about the community and every aspect of it is just not true.
But it's not true at all, because at the end of the day, they don't give a damn. And if it makes the Shield look bad, then guess what?
Yeah. Especially for the Shield's interest.
Oh, most definitely. And I think that it was an every Sunday irritation, distraction, conversation.
Yeah.
And it really stirred up the patriotic fans that we have, and those who hold the Dear America Can't Do Anything Wrong in their heart, to the point where the agitation created this atmosphere that no team wants to bother to not say take the risk of a potential good backup quarterback, because I feel like he would work perfectly with that backup position.
Yeah.
But the fact that, well, let's say he doesn't do the protest with the flag, he does another protest.
Yeah.
They don't want particularly a Negro to shake the box, right? They don't want a Negro to create an atmosphere with other players that will engage in social justice. And one thing I really dislike is when the Negro commentator, and there's one particular who is on Fox.
Who's that?
Fox Sports, I think is Jason Whitlock.
Yeah, with Colin Cowherd.
At one particular time, I felt good about the brother, but I've seen him several times on moments that you can embrace the black man, and he just seems like a total coon and Uncle Tom. And he doesn't. It's like you're missing the point of what Colin Kaepernick did. And maybe it was at the time of where he was looking like, oh, I want to get out of San Francisco, so this is what I'm due. I don't knock what he did to bring a different point of view and bring light to something that me and you have spoken upon, but we could not get an amount of people to pay attention, because who are we, right? He sat there and put his job on the line, his career on the line, to sit there and say what's being done, especially to black people, to young people. It ain't cool. So him turning into an activist in a moment, as Jason had always has pointed, like, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
How many of us have changed in that moment when we see, damn, there's something we have to do? Yes, this guy was all about himself, but clearly he saw that there's something he should do with the platform that he has, and he chose to make a stand. I hate it when individuals try to press as if his heart is not gold, his heart is not pure, because with the activism, without the lights, without the cameras, he has done exactly what he said he is going to do. And that work by itself speaks volumes to what he's trying to do as far as create a change. And I have to commend that.
Okay, well, I think that, so somebody like Jason Whitlock, who self-proclaimed his job is to make the issue that involves black people, because the show that he's on, he's the only black person. So the two he does, one directly with Colin Cowherd, the other one where he kind of chimes in on a 4 panel. And he's like, this is when the issue with Charlemagne the God and the girl on the boot.
Shouts out to Charlemagne after he did his Donkey of the Day. That was one of the most classic breakdowns ever. I loved it.
So Jason Whitlock's basic thing, he said, this is where we're dealing with black people, and this is my area of expertise. That's his work.
No, I know. I heard him say that.
So for somebody like him, he feels like it is his job, his right, and his duty when it comes to addressing the moves and mannerisms and dealings when it pertains to black people. Now, granted, you're covering sports, so the top topics when it pertains to professional sports will more likely than not involve a black person. So, when your job is coming in and you're feeling like you're the one who should be able to say the blanketed racist statements that your colleagues cannot for fear of real backlash, sponsorship issues, or just their reputation, he gets to come out there and say all that. And so for people like him, I recognize who they are, and then I just keep it moving. Like there's no weight to, or I give no validity to what they're saying. But what I like to look at is when we talk about kind of the smoke and mirrors, the perception that's put up front versus what really is, what's presented and said, this is what it is. This narrative I'm gonna create, or this is just simply what somebody thinks they know.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times in society, when we see these people on magazines, and we see them on the blogs, and we see them on Sunday or Thursday night, we get under the illusion that we actually know them. We feel like, no, I know Kobe. I know how Kobe thinks. I know what LeBron's doing. I know what Odell Beckham's really doing. I know what Westbrook's really about. And we get caught up in these narratives and these perceptions without really knowing these people. And when stuff starts to come out, we have people who will defend a perception and defend a narrative for some people that we just don't even know. You got guys like the one that they're having a field day with right now was Tiger. Tiger Woods, who for the beginning of his career spent a lot of money and a lot of time creating a very clean image, a very wholesome image. That was Tiger's thing. But you had people who remember him in the clubhouse back when he was 13, 14, and like, this dude's a dick. Yeah. Like, he was just, all that stuff that you see in the Nike commercial is not the guy that we see out here playing golf. And once that perception was shattered, when he got caught up with all the women and his ex-wife coming out with the golf club through the back window and all of his demons were exposed, there were people who were genuinely hurt because they felt like the person that they quote unquote knew betrayed them and lied to them. But the reality is they didn't know the man to begin with. Yeah. And as more and more came to light, people got more fuel to want to roast him to prove that point, to kind of make up for the hurt of their perception of him being broken. Like, they learned that the tooth fairy wasn't real, that there is no Santa Claus, and they're going to make him pay.
Well, I mean, you get into idol worshiping and trying to convince yourself that a commercial or watching this guy or girl do their business makes you believe that they're all invested in you, first of all, and that they're all invested in what perception they have created.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Tiger got, in case you haven't seen the story yet, Tiger was just hit with the DUI. And to his credit, because and to me, I'm not one of those people that's out to roast Tiger. I don't know the man personally. He ain't never done nothing to me. So looking for something, what it is, he was pulled over on the side of a road when a police officer came up behind him, and he had his blinker on, and his foot was on the brake. So the cop comes up to the window, taps the glass. Tiger's asleep. So he keeps tapping it. If you've ever slept in your car, somebody tapping on your window, you're going to see him look a little crazy. It's if you just wake up and you see somebody staring at you. So he seemed a little disorientated. Cops asked him a few questions. He seemed a little out of it. Cop says, hey, have you had anything to drink? He's like, no, I haven't. But he did admit to taking some pain medication, because if you know Tiger's training, he was doing like Navy SEAL training to play golf. Like, he overexerted himself, messes back up, all this stuff. Any event. So he does a field sobriety test. To the extent where he had to say the alphabet backwards. He kept messing it up, but ultimately he got through it. He blew a 0.0.
I think anybody would mess up the alphabet backwards.
Exactly. I know how I'm saying the field sobriety test is a little suspect in itself.
Are you serious? That's what they do?
Going to Z to A was one of.
Did you try it?
ZYXWVUTSRQONMLKJIHGFEDCBA.
ABCD, motherfucker. That's
But
what
I'm saying.
I'm
But if we had the same conversation when I just woke up, you know what I'm saying?
That stuff is crazy.
You know what I'm saying? But the thing is, so he does the field sobriety test. He fails it, and he says I had an adverse reaction to some new pain medication. Made me tired. I pulled over, fell asleep. The blogs and the paper couldn't wait to roast him for Tiger with the DUI.
I couldn't lie. I sat there as soon as I saw the picture. I posted it up on my Facebook.
Yeah, because I
had a good time with it.
Because the DUI doesn't mean it just the eye is intoxicated. The eye is under the influence of a controlled substance. So even if it's sleeping pills, if it's anxiety medication, if it's whatever, if it inhibits your ability to operate a vehicle, then that's a DUI. This will go away. Because, I mean, the fact of the matter is that that's what it was. He wasn't driving. The cop didn't pull him over, moving reckless, whatever. But the big reason why people were so quick to want to roast him is because of the broken perception of what they believed him to be from before. So that whole idea of Tiger lied to us, he broke my dreams, he broke my heart. So now I have an opportunity to roast him and make him feel a little pain. So I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Well, I definitely think, like I said, I love the fact that idols come crashing down because I just think that we pay too much attention. We spend so much time creating this person that we kind of want to assume to be, and we can't reach that level, and then picturing them as we would like to see ourselves in that position.
Yeah.
So, to me, I feel nothing walking perfect is perfect. I like to deal with those who practice an imperfection. That's who I like to deal with because it's more real. I don't generally like people that smile too often because I always feel there's something going on with them. Why are you always smiling? It creeps me out all the time.
There are some overly happy people out there, but I get it.
Listen, ain't nothing too happy about anything. But I get it and understand it. Yeah. But it's always been a play to me, even with the Lance Armstrong thing. The Tiger Woods things was just like, y'all can't be that perfect. And it's like, when we even talk a little bit later about LeBron James, even in his piece, I think that, there's probably certain things, but with Tiger, it was so over the freaking top, right? To where now, it's not like you're praying for this guy to fall on his ass, but you don't mind laughing when he does. And if he has any kind of drug issue where some addiction kicks in, I mean, definitely, I hope he gets some help. But this is, again, could be prevented. Again, you have so much money to call a limo, to call an Uber, to call a Lyft, to call a friend, to call many of your hoes that you probably got tucked away somewhere to avoid the situation. If you ask me, I don't know. Story kind of smells fishy to me. Maybe some money came through because you never know. I mean, for a guy because they'll do the blood work too. So I mean, if his story doesn't pan out with what I don't trust no damn police blood test.
No, what I'm saying is that for a guy with chronic pain to get caught under the influence of a pain medication, to me, is not just really for me. I'm not talking about the story or for whatever. For me, I don't really care. Like, the fact of the matter is that he shouldn't be behind the wheel because if he got that tired, he had the presence of mind to pull over. It's not like he was driving all over, swerving all over the place, and he wasn't that far from his house. He had the presence of mind to stop driving. Okay, so to me, I don't hold to him the hose because I've known too many professional athletes whose hoe count is on par.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So to me, he didn't break any ground. I know non-athletes whose hoe count is on par.
But it's just white America. I think the white America was more hurt than anyone.
Yeah.
Because they want to see the goodness of a Negro.
Okay.
But in the same frame,
go ahead.
But in the same frame, how are you getting upset about a lifestyle that a majority of rich white men live?
Okay, but the difference is black people were more upset that the way he got caught up with his hoes, not that he had them. Like, How do you leave the voicemail message like that? How do you say, hey, this is Tiger. When you get this message, I need you to delete everything. Like, black people had more of an issue with that.
Classic.
The lack of game when getting caught up.
Classic.
Then actually, I don't know, I didn't come across any black people who cared that Tiger Woods had hoes.
Classic.
More, like I said, his ridicule was his lack of game when the pressure got put on him and he just folded.
And it was the simple fact that Tiger Woods spent so much time wanting to be accepted in the supremacist society. He wanted that privilege.
And they couldn't wait to roast it.
And the fact that those who hated how he changed the game, how he created an atmosphere to where these old fucks who were out of shape now had to get in shape, he changed the golfing game. And because he was about to chase down that prestigious number, which one was it Jack Nicholson? Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicklaus. With that, he was about to reach that greatness and take it. They don't like their certain prestigious feats to be defeated, right? They don't like to hear someone doing something over Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, Larry Bird. It's like they hold on to
a great example of that is if for you to be black to surpass a quote unquote white legend, you have to be squeaky clean.
Oh, most definitely.
Because when Hank Aaron got the home run, people were okay with Hank Aaron being above Babe Ruth, but they refused to accept Barry Bonds. Do you know what I mean? Like the fact is that you better be humble, you better play the role, you better be squeaky clean. Though the people who set the records weren't, alcoholic, womanizing, woman beating, they could be whatever. The people who set the record in the first place, But if you're black trying to come up and touch any of those records, you better have your P's and Q's all together.
Well, I think in a simple fact they wanted to have their moral compass be on Barry Bonds because of all the allegations of the steroids. But yet and still, Mark McGwire was able to walk through in the mist of the night and not even really be ridiculed as much as Barry Bonds was.
That's what I'm saying. If you're black.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You have to have your stuff.
We definitely understand all that. And that's why, to me, I laugh at it all the time. It's the unfortunate thing that the rules again, Tiger Woods, you now know that you are officially black with the backlash getting hit. Because
a good example of that, just briefly touch on a good example, Mark McGwire, same stuff as Barry Bonds, no backlash. The only one they liked, Ken Griffey, squeaky clean, no issues. Like, there was no backlash to Ken Griffey hitting as many home runs. He was never caught up in the steroid era. He was squeaky clean. Like, you have to be perfect.
But at the same time, Ken Griffey, I think what always saved him, really, that he'll always have to live with, he never was that good when it came to the postseason. He never went further.
Just for home run hit.
Yeah, he's a home run. He was a great player. And later down the line, when he went to the Reds and he left Seattle, he kind of fell off and he had a lot of injuries. But Ken Griffey Jr., I guarantee you this, had he started coming closer and closer to the dominance that I think a lot of white audience that watch sports, they embrace it to a certain extent, but they kind of will always push it out depending on how you are. I was watching this E60 show about one of the black hockey players. He plays for, I want to say, the Tennessee Panthers or something like that. I'm about to take your word for it. Yeah, no, it's PK something, right? And I never knew that there was even a black hockey player.
I know there's a couple, but I'm not.
But this black hockey player is on the level. If you watch anything about hockey, Sidney Crosby. You know what I'm saying?
Still no.
Okay.
I'm just being honest. I know a few things, but I don't know nothing about hockey. You
check that out next time. You can come back and run it around. But he is to that level, and to that level, this guy is really a star, right? And I'm thinking like, well, I ain't never heard of him. It's because hockey has these certain rules. They have this certain kind of prestige. And it's always, well, you can't have this much fun. It's, well, we do things this way. It's always some kind of hidden rule or agenda in these sports the ones that we dominate like football and basketball, as you saw with football, they're saying, hey, you know what? We're going to allow you guys, you little Negroes, to do the little football celebration.
The no fun league with certain ratings.
Exactly. Yeah. So they're going to budge because it's dominated by black. But most of the sports that aren't, they're trying to keep it the same way it was established.
Yes.
And when you have guys like a Tiger Woods that comes in and changes the whole format, and then he takes away every accolade that any of the other players would have got, and it's just almost like the whole talk of the tournament is Tiger.
Yeah, for almost
win or lose.
For 10 plus years, that when it came to whatever the tournament was,
it's about Tiger Woods.
It was the odd. The Vegas odds were Tiger or not Tiger.
Yeah, exactly.
No one cared about
Tiger
any other
versus the field. Right?
It was just Tiger or not Tiger.
So watching him have this decline and watching this kind of collapse in his career is almost kind of like a ha-ha moment. But to us as a black man, I'm saying, well, this is what you get when you try to go into their club and not stay in our club.
Okay, and I could see that, or I do see that in the sense of, first off, if you're somebody who plays anything and you want to go to the upper echelon, quote unquote, for what is the world, like the NBA is the quintessential competitive league of professional basketball. You can leave the United States and go play for any other country, and you may be treated better in the country, but they'll all say that the stiffest competition is the United States NBA. You know, so if you want to play at the top level, you're going to do it here. With the exception of soccer, you're going to play for the United States. It's going to be an American-based company. So for these guys that want to excel here, I get it. You know, Serena, what she did and what she's doing in tennis, because she ain't done. Yeah. She going to drop this baby, give her a year, she going to be right back there, you know, back there winning. And the backlash and stuff that she's gotten. And another squeaky clean one. Ain't nobody heard about Serena getting a parking ticket. But it's the way that it is set up, you have to be. Like, you have to be perfect. You know, whereas our counterparts can be as grimy as they want to be. And then they're just taken at face value for their particular job. You know, like to me, I would never take the argument made that, you know, more backlash came to Cam Newton for dabbing and showboating and not doing an interview than Ben Roethlisberger coming off back-to-back rape charges.
Back-to-back rape charges.
I mean, like a Drake song. He back-to-back. He's raping back-to-back. Like, I mean, like back-to-back. How are you going to tell me that a dude who pulls the Superman move and dabs after he scores a touchdown is in some way more the villain than a dude who's accused of having a woman locked in a bathroom with his security guard blocking the door so no one can come in while he sexually assaults a woman in a bar?
And then turn around and now you want to flip the script and say, you know what? We made a mistake about that routine. We want it back.
Yeah, I mean, like that to me is just ridiculous.
We want to penalize it heavy, but then turn around. Guess what? We want it back.
Here's something interesting. What are they gonna do with all the fine money?
I don't know what
because for the last couple of years, they've racked up a lot of fine money on these dudes.
And you know what? I think that it's almost like when you go back to the Colin Kaepernick thing. It's like, okay, we know that we were losing an audience because in return, yes, the NFL is going nowhere, but they were losing a little bit of an audience, right? Because the Colin Kaepernick thing wasn't a good PR move for them, right? No. So now here we are going to penalize something that actually the fans embrace. People actually like that. To be creative for that moment and then have it be stale with, and we're going to penalize it. The NFL, the people are looking like, wait a minute, hold on. First of all, you're going to the illegal land that has never been touched with pro sports in Vegas with the Raiders. Then you're sitting here not penalizing after the big Ray Rice fiasco with all these other players, right?
Yeah.
You are now just getting tougher on the marijuana penalties and whatever other drugs. You're now getting tougher about that. You also have constant backlash on the facts with the concussions, right? So you have all these things that going into play, and then of course you had Mary Tom's wife coming out talking about, oh yeah, my husband plays with concussions all the time. Well, boom, here comes, let's bring back what? The celebrations.
Well, here's the thing. The
plotted plan.
Well, the celebrations are for us. So, because you have to remember, if you go throughout the league, the overly excessive celebration penalties, very few white players ever got hit with that.
Yeah.
So letting the celebrations go are for us. Yeah, remember, Tom Brady is for them. Like, the reason why they are worried about any type of backlash, Tom Brady is what made everything all right again for when it came to white viewership. We're not worried about that angry Negro in the Bay Area. We've got our golden boy in New England.
Yeah.
You know, so Tom Brady made it all right for them. Letting up on the celebration was to pacify us. Mm-hmm. That was to get us back and, oh no, we can dance again. We could do backflips again. We could showboat again. And let's take the heat off. Here's something else. The perception that the league cares about marijuana. This is the issue with that. The reason why marijuana is hit is because marijuana use is of the younger players. No. HGH is the older ones.
Yeah.
So the fact is that the older players, when it goes to the Players Association, are willing to concede to letting the strict hits come on weed because they're not smoking it. Because they need HGH to be left alone. Because after you turn 32, 33, your body gets broken down, and you've got these 24-year-olds coming out in order to rebuild muscle tissue, to stay in the game, to keep your strength. These guys are all taking HGH. These 34-year-olds ain't smoking weed.
Yeah.
So as time goes by, you'll eventually start to see a shift, you know, where weed may come into more of a play later down the line, because I think what's going to happen is you're just going to start seeing players with shorter careers. Mm-hmm. So then you're going to start seeing players who are going to they'll be smoking. The people who smoke weed will be the only guys playing.
Yeah.
You're not going to see a lot of these guys who are 37, 38 still in the league. It's just going to be a young man's game across the board.
Yeah.
And then that's when they'll address weed. But it's not like the league cares about weed. You can't get both.
Yeah.
And so they're giving props to the veteran players on that HGH. Then they care about the rookies coming in who want to get high.
Yeah.
But once again, that's just the perception.
Perception is reality.
On how stuff looks. And stuff gets presented, and there's certain narratives for things that we get caught up on.
All the time.
You know, he was talking about, he briefly touched on LeBron and how he's going to play in the NBA Finals.
7 years in a row, man. That's not perception. That is a reality, man.
The perception is where people feel like they know him. Every time this dude comes out, every season he plays, every postseason, every finals, everybody talks about what's in his heart. Everybody talks about what his mentality is. Everybody talks about, you know what I mean? Like, you hear all these people who talk like they know him. And the big story this year is Kevin Durant. Because he left OKC to go to Golden State, a team that was already stacked and won 73 wins. So everybody's saying the pressure is on him.
Yeah.
If he doesn't win a finals, he's going to be Mr. Unreliable again on a stacked team. And everyone talks to saying like they know his heart.
Yeah.
Well, he only came for this, and he came for doing this. Once again, I've never met them, either one of them. I don't know LeBron. I don't know Kevin. We've never had to sit down, never talked to each other. But there are people out there who keep putting words in both of their mouths, who sit there and keep saying that they know both of their hearts, know both of their intentions, know, you know what I mean? Or
even at the simple fact that they may say what they feel, and people still say, nah, that's
that
not
ain't
what you
it. That ain't it.
It's I'm excited, and I don't usually get excited about sports because I've just kind of sports don't really touch me like it used to. But this particular situation, I love it, and I used to do my little sports commentating, and I did my little sports show back in the day on my onemusicnetwork.com. We had a little sports show, and I was the guru. I still am the guru. Still can help you win a lot of money by betting, but I don't do that no more. I'm retired.
All right.
I just like the fact that when you have something like this going on, and I think that we're blessed to be able to be in an era to where there's almost kind of like this Bird versus Magic versus the Lakers versus the Celtics. I think that every great sport needs rivalry, and I think the fact that you have these guys going at it again for the rubber match. Both got titles, right? 2015 Warriors took it, and 2016 the Cavs took it with a great comeback, and everybody has something to say. I think that when you dispute the fact of what it is truly going into LeBron James, what he is he's a guy that literally, if you think about it, from the age of 14 was called the chosen one, came into the league as one of the last Mohicans of the high school boys, right? Came in and set this league on fire. He has been doing the same kind of thing, only getting better for 14 years. Him going to the NBA Finals for the 7th year in a row. I don't care if he has 4 losses in the finals. He has 3 titles. And in those 3 titles, he's got a title with Miami. And then he came and got a title with a city that hasn't seen a title in 53 years in any sport except for college, right? Ohio State. And that's not the pros. That's college. He comes and gets a title after being down 3-1. The only team in NBA history to ever do that. The accomplishments, when we start talking about LeBron James, it is phenomenal, and I don't think he gets enough credit. And I'm happy that we're saying something about it because I want people to hear LeBron James deserves all the credit he gets, and if not more, because once he leaves, we will be begging to have him back, just like we were all looking to find a replacement for Michael Jordan.
I think there's a difference.
Of who?
I think there's a difference in the void that will be both those players.
Between Michael Jordan and LeBron James?
Yes.
Well, break down.
Because
I want to hear this.
When Michael Jordan left, the first time, because I'm not going to count I'm not talking about the Wizards movie. When he left,
why don't you want to talk about the Wizards?
Well, because I'll tell you why. I'm saying, but that's
you ain't gotta
different.
tell me. I'm just
I'm talking about his prime era after the first 3 championships when he retired. What the league was competitive. So when he stepped away, the Bulls were still competitive. They didn't just fall off. I mean, Scottie Pippen took the Bulls. They were right back there playing to the Eastern Conference Finals, I believe. They were still a competitive squad. So, but what you got was in that emergence was a bunch of across the league was competition. So his void was still competitive NBA basketball. You could still watch Hakeem Olajuwon. You still watch Clyde Drexler. You watch the onset of what was going on in Orlando. You could watch, you know what I mean?
Orlando came a little bit later, but go ahead.
Well, I'm talking about in his era, like at the time he was gone. There were other teams who were starting to emerge, and so it was still a competitive league. It wasn't a one set dominated, all roads lead through Jordan through the middle of the 90s when he was gone.
I disagree because I think that, one, when we talk about Jordan, we always try to find this idea where he was dealing with some of the stiffest competition compared to what LeBron is dealing with in the East, and how does LeBron get through the East as fast or as quick or as easy? One, we have to remain and understand when LeBron came back from Miami, he said it himself, this is not going to be an easy fix. And I think that was a setup for him understanding that, you know what, just in case I fall short, here is my excuse already. I'll give it that to him. But they, in his first year coming back from Miami with the team that they had, they went to the finals. They would have won the finals, I believe. Listen, they would have won the finals, I believe, if first Kevin Love didn't get injured, and secondly, Kyrie did not get injured in the first half, with the first part of the game, and overtime when they went in, that they didn't have them. So that it was in there was in overtime.
But that's not what I'm saying.
Oh, but let me finish.
Go ahead.
Let me break it down. You had your time. Let me go. So here it is, where you have this guy that comes back his first year in a place where he's changing a team from Miami to a guy that we've seen, Dwayne Wade proven, Chris Bosh proven, to a team not proven. Kyrie was not proven. Kyrie never made it to the playoffs. Who is this head coach? So he brought this team to an East that still had a competitive Pacers, that still had a competitive Toronto, that still had a very competitive Washington, compared to the teams like the New York Knicks. When Michael left, the New York Knicks never won a title. Did they ever win a title? No. When Michael left, the Miami Heat never won a title. I mean, are we still talking about the New Jersey Nets? I mean, the Detroit Pistons were a wash. Orlando Magic, they had a 3 to 4 year run and they were done. As soon as Michael Jordan came back that second time around, he dismantled them and swept them out. So this big idea, and the Atlanta Hawks are just exactly the same Atlanta Hawks that you see these seasons. It's a pretty good team, but not able to get over the hump. What I don't understand is, and the 76ers was bad, just like they're bad right now. What I don't understand is why people don't give LeBron James the credit for just being a dominant player, like Michael Jordan was a dominant player. And it wasn't the simple fact that, yes, through the years, Michael Jordan had a stretch of great players that came along, but same did as LeBron James did. I mean, what was the really difference? He had the moments where he had to get past the Boston Celtics, just like Michael Jordan had to get past the Detroit Pistons. I mean, are we not equating that to being like that was his Achilles heel too? People make it seem like LeBron James is just playing nobodies. The Pacers were at one particular time supposed to be the team that was supposed to take out the Miami Heat. They didn't get the job done. Now LeBron James has just seemingly owned every other team, just like Michael Jordan continued to own teams in the East and then go over and beat whoever the West brought out.
Okay, good point. Not my point. But
well, it's not supposed to be your point because it's my point.
Well, no, but I mean, that wasn't what I was addressing. I agree with you. All I'm looking at is I said if LeBron retired after today,
yeah.
Like if he said I'm hanging him up after I win, there's really no. I would look at what the climate of the league is going to be. It's going to be a few years before there's. I would think that there's going to be real stiff competition across the board. Like I just don't think that right now there's a big wave of competition.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So you're saying when Michael left, he left competition?
I think it was a little bit better.
Who? I'm just saying. I mean, who? When Michael left, who? Are we because the New Jersey Nets went to the championship twice? Okay. And who knows how that happened? Jason Kidd had Kenyon Martin, Kerry Kittles.
Not a bad team, but
that team was horrible.
Well,
if you're talking about
by default, I can't. But by default, I can't say you're horrible if you make it to the championship.
Well, I mean, but the competition wasn't as intense.
No,
I mean, what do we? I'm just trying to figure out.
If I looked at back then that Houston Rockets team,
we're not talking about. Let's talk about.
Well, I'm talking about the league.
Okay, in the league. Basically, if you're talking about the league, LeBron James is not leaving the league dead when you have guys that have been put ahead of him all the time. We're not even talking about MVP. MVP, you know what we're talking about? We're talking about Kawhi Leonard, and we're talking about Harden, and we're talking about Westbrook. So those are three guys that we are talking over Mike.
Here's a better question. So you feel that this era right now is a more competitive league than when Jordan left?
I think that this era,
because that's what it sounds like. By that,
I honestly can sit there and say that this era probably could be a little bit more competitive because I think at the same time with Michael Jordan, there was just such this awe and this aura with Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan, as we talked offline, Michael Jordan didn't have to go through what LeBron James and all these other players are going through. They're going through the world of social media. In particular, with Michael Jordan, he's gotten a free pass because there was nothing really bad said about him. If it was bad said about him, that shit was getting thrown into the cellar somewhere. So, in a sense of, you have to see with the ridicule and the conversations from all these other different places, not only from the peanut gallery, but from 24-hour media that's constantly talking about these players, I think it intensifies. Now, people will probably say, Barry, what are you talking about? Because look at what happened to the playoffs. Sometimes teams are just better, dog. That's just all I'm saying. Sometimes teams are just better.
I get that. And this, to me, is in no way an indictment on LeBron James. I'm just simply looking at the era, in my opinion, this era right now is not more competitive. That's just my take. When you look at what the postseason is, that you can have both sides literally just walk through the postseason. You know what I'm saying? That to me is why I say that the degree of competition.
But you got to remember, but here's the thing, and this is for all those people that said the West is so better, the West is so better. I believe that the Warriors had an easier task than LeBron and them, just because.
Same point.
Yeah,
that's
just because,
same point.
Well, I mean, just because in the sense of the West, everybody got hurt. But had things gone according to plan, had Blake Griffin not got injured, and you had a fully manned Clippers squad, the Clippers would have got beat, but they would have at least got 1 or 2 games against the Warriors.
This is the thing. Competitive does not mean better. So the fact is, if you say that a league is more competitive, if you have a team, if every series on one conference goes the distance, it goes 7-7-7, every versus one is everyone gets swept. It doesn't mean that the teams that go the distance are better than the teams that swept. There's just more competition amongst the teams.
I feel that it was competitive. It's just the way the ball bounced on the side of the Warriors. Because when you looked at it, Utah beat the Clippers, and that probably wasn't supposed to happen. When you look at it, Milwaukee took the Raptors kind of a little bit further than the Raptors probably thought. And then when you look at it, the Washington and the Celtics went exactly what it was supposed to do, 7-game series, right? And you look at it as well, you have Indiana pushing LeBron and the Cavs to the break, even though it was a 4-game sweep. Every game was very competitive. So I believe that when you look at these games, the competition, of course, it's going to change up if you have these major injuries. And I feel there was major injuries that happened that didn't make this kind of series, this playoffs that everybody wants to complain about, as competitive as it was supposed to be.
Maybe. I mean, yes, the injuries are a factor. No.
Totally
I'm not disregarding the factor. I'm simply saying, in my opinion, I don't believe this league right now, this season, is as competitive as the year that Jordan retired. That's all. So, like I said, this is not an argument to say that these guys are better than these guys, or those guys were better. So there was more parity in the league. I said the impact of when the players...
There was more parity in the league?
Back then, you had more even-keel teams.
But who always went from the East? Michael Jordan, right?
I'm saying, no, that's the argument.
How is it parity?
No, that's the argument. I said when they're gone, when you remove them, the rest of the league...
When Michael Jordan left, dog, we was begging and praying for somebody to lift us. Now, even though we had Shaq and Kobe, it still was like, oh, man, damn. I don't think the league... I'm going to tell you right now, until the emergence of Allen Iverson, that's when the league got exciting. For at least when I was watching it. And Allen Iverson only got to the championship finals one time. You had the Lakers and you had the Spurs that was dominating. And then you had whoever was going to come out to the East to be the sacrificial lamb. So I don't see where we have now almost like a Lakers and a Celtic kind of thing where people adore that. We have it just over here.
I think the difference is when you put the two, say when you had the Lakers who had dominance, there was a closer second, third, and fourth. I think is where people will talk about the difference of eras. Second, third? Back then?
Who?
I'm asking the question. Are you talking about then or are you talking about now?
Back then. Who?
So when you talk about when it came to the playoffs, when you had Portland, when Portland and the Lakers in the playoffs was battles. You had Sacramento and the Lakers in the playoffs.
That was later on.
Well,
and I mean, how many times did Sacramento even go to the finals against the Lakers? One time?
Playoffs every year.
One time did they go to the finals?
The Western Conference Finals.
Exactly. One time, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's really, to be honest with you, can't. Sacramento was just an afterthought. It's just one time. Now, when you tell me when they keep on going to the East, like, the Western Conference Finals, and they meet each other like the Spurs and the Lakers, I'll give that. The Kings had that one good run, and bam.
Okay, well, Portland and San Antonio.
I'll give to the Trailblazers because they broke out twice when they beat the Lakers. It was kind of more of a downward spiral, and they went back and got beat by Detroit and Chicago. But at the same time,
even after that, they were still competing.
competing, but getting
when Scotty came over to the Trailblazers, and they were still a competitive team.
It's a very competitive team, but at the same time, they only went to the finals, Western Conference Finals, one time, right? I mean, they probably went into the third, second round.
Finals twice, Western Conference once, then the
But they didn't go. But they didn't go. We're talking about the Trailblazers, Clyde, and then we're talking about the Trailblazers, Pippen. They
with
never
San
went to the
Antonio.
finals. They went to the Western Conference twice, San Antonio and Lakers.
Yeah.
And they got beat. So it was dominated by the Lakers and the Spurs. Two teams. So you could say that it's dominated now by what? The Spurs and the Warriors, right? Two teams. And the one particular team that dominated over there is Chicago. So that's Cavs, right? So Cavs are Chicago. They just dominated.
Detroit and Boston back then.
Detroit and Boston? You're talking a little bit down the line.
If we're picking, we're covering, for what we're talking about is a 10-year span. So that's why all that stuff fell in there. So like I said, I guess it goes back to you answered my question. You feel that this is a more competitive era than it was back then.
Because I look at it like, because of all of the hype surrounded about why and who's the legacy.
No, you.
Me?
I'm saying you feel like this is a more competitive era now than it was back then.
I feel so.
Okay.
I feel so. I definitely think that we have a little bit more competition. I mean, I think that this playoff has kind of thrown everybody off, and they haven't remembered about the previous playoffs before. But due to injuries, I think that it played a big key. I mean, you got to remember, even Isaiah Thomas got injured, right? And Kyle Lowry got injured as well.
If injuries didn't play a factor, it was the same Final Four.
It was going to be the same Final Four, but I think that there would probably be a little bit more fight in the Toronto series. It'll be a little bit more fight in the Boston series if Isaiah didn't go. I think so.
Okay.
I believe it. I mean, you don't have to believe it. I get
it. That's all. I mean, we just we see things the way we see them.
Whatever. Like I say, I'm going LeBron James. And we could talk about this later. After
I'm not even an anti-LeBron guy.
You be all the way with LeBron. Let's get it. Let's get that title. I love KD, but hey, at the end of the day, we just need.
I'm all out. I'm a Laker fan. I don't care which one of them wins.
Okay, well, you about to ball out there.
I don't care which one of them wins. These are just different things that we talk about. Stuff, the way that we see things, the way that we perceive them, the information that's put in front of us. We all process stuff our own way. And we can all find stuff that we gravitate to. But at the end, we have to remember that that's just it. That we're processing the information the way we do it. It doesn't make you any more right or wrong. And it doesn't make the story that's being presented to you any more correct or incorrect. You have to go beyond just the way something's presented and beyond just your own feelings when you're processing stuff, and especially when you're dealing with other people. And these are just things that we come across out here in this world and in this traffic that we feel like we need to say something about.
Say something.
I'm Jermaine Morris here with Mr. Barry Accius.
BERRYACCIUS is a Facebook, and that's the Twitter. At Team Voy, TEAMVOY, and check out theblackblueprints.com with a Z. Get the apparel.
I'm Jermaine Morris on Facebook, at JMorrisCEO on every other social media platform. And this is Say Something Podcast. And until next show,
go Cavs.
Shit, well, I'll let you later.